I would like to acknowledge our collaborative meeting today is within the ancestral, traditional, and unceded territory of all the nations of the interior region. We are thankful for this land and strive to be mindful of the connection it holds to the Aboriginal peoples of this territory, as well as the animals and plants with whom we share this space. I am honored today to be calling in from the Silk Nation. Thank you for making the time to attend today. The intent of this session is to help everyone across IH understand what home sport transformation is and provide information as to the direction we want to see home sport take over the next few years. We are also hoping to help you understand how home sport fits in with all the SCSP work. Currently in home sport, we have been very focused on the Procura implementation. Although Procura is a key foundational piece in the home sport is more than just a scheduling software. Before we begin, I would like to introduce all the members of the Home Support Transformation team. Myself, I am Heather Wood, the Director of Home Support Transformation. We have with us Suki Belvin, our Practice Lead of Home Support, Adrian Keel, Practice Lead in Home Support, Sandra Helena, our Regional Knowledge Coordinator of Home Support, and Larry Seahaver, our Administrative Support.
Our learning objectives for today are that you will be able to explain the vision and goals of home support transformation. You should be able to outline what our current and future work looks like, be able to describe the role, scope, and function of all members of the team, and know where to find the guiding and resource documents for transformation. So what words would we like our clients to use when they describe home support services? I'm going to bring up a whiteboard and we're going to share some of those words. Many of these words were used during the presentations to local sites. And we hope that they resonate with you as well as words that your clients will use when they describe home support. At the end of the session, we will also be showing you an amalgamation of all the words that the sites used during each of the presentations. There's some great words in there, like holistic, reliable, flexible, that people are doing a great job, that they're knowledgeable, they're efficient, they're awesome. Wonderful. Okay. So we will take a look at all of those in a Wordle at the end of the presentation. So let's continue on.
With all the work occurring right now in home health and home support, you may be wondering how does home support fit within the SCSP? As shown in the visual of the CMF SCSP, you will see that home support is a service, and just like all other services within the SCSP, we are striving to improve the service to meet the attributes which will allow us to create a system that is easily accessible, well integrated, responsive, and effectively coordinated to provide person-centered care. When reviewing the SCSP attributes and the Ministry of Health policy that sets direction for how home support is delivered in BC, the following themes emerge, and is why we will be focusing our transformation in these areas. Home support is to support client and caregivers. Not only the client, but caregivers need to be assessed to ensure that we are Ensure what is being provided through home support will help support them, as we know caregivers are key in supporting people to age in place. Home support is a service is provided based on clinically assessed needs. This is to shift to moving from authorizing service based on what we think is available to authorizing what the client needs to support them remaining living in the community. Home support is culturally safe. We need home support to be culturally safe so that everyone receiving home support feels respected. Home support is flexible and able to meet urgent and unscheduled needs. And home support will support persons to safely live at home, reducing the need for care in an emergency department, hospital, or long-term care home. We have considered all of this direction to help us to create our focus in home support. So that vision that will guide us in home support transformation for the next few years is to deliver culturally safe, person and family centered home support that is standardized, responsive, and supportive to meet the needs of the client and their caregivers. You may be wondering what is going to be different from what we are doing now. When we talk about focusing on standardization, the goal is that anyone who is part of the home support team can work in any other part of the health authority without needing extra education, as the process will be the same. When we are focusing on responsiveness, we are referring to the ability to decrease wait times for initial service and look to increase or decrease service based on clients' needs. We are focusing on culturally safe care to ensure that we create a space for clients to feel safe in the care they receive and feel respected in their cultural beliefs. In order to help us achieve our vision, we have set the following goals. 1, to create a cohesive team approach. Every member of the home support team is to have increased job satisfaction, including the MRC, the schedulers, the CHWs, the team lead in home support, the managers, and even as the broader team, the person receiving care and their caregivers. We want to increase collaboration between the community health workers, the MRC, and the interdisciplinary care team to occur regularly. Community health workers will be active participants in team-based care, and clinicians and clients will collaboratively establish the home support service plan. 2, we will look to expanding home support services. So service will be offered from 0700 to 2300 with access to overnight home support. Unscheduled care delivery, and increasing access and delivery of in-home respite. 3, developing an education framework to support community health workers to become experts in their role. So building on the base education that they receive in school, we want to offer education that allows CHWs to enhance their knowledge. All community health workers have the required education to support ministry service requirements, which includes dementia, falls, palliative, and medication assistance. This allows us to match our CHWs to clients with certain needs. For example, clients receiving end-of-life service will be provided care by CHWs who have palliative training. We also want to ensure that every member of the home support team are culturally competent. And 4, standardization and adherence to decision support tools and standard work. So any member of the home support team can move to another location in IH and begin work right away. And data will be available to help support and identify opportunities for improvement. And this will ensure that all clients and caregivers within IH have access to the same service.
During the live presentations that we provided to the sites, there were many questions that arose, and we've taken some samples here that we will review. So the first one is, what is the timeline for all of these changes?
We're providing this information now, so as the changes come, you'll understand the vision of home support transformation. Transformation is a process and will not happen overnight, but the goal is to make these changes over the next few years.
Will we be able to offer more than 4 times a day service?
Rules for 4 times a day service is not an interior health or an MOH, Ministry of Health, mandated practice. Different areas have put rules in place to create equity among their clients. As we work towards authorizing services that the client would benefit from, it helps us understand our demand for service so we can plan for allocation of future resources.
Well, how are we going to schedule unscheduled care needs?
The goal is to be able to provide unscheduled care needs. However, the process of how this is done is still being worked on. The service will be authorized on the home support service auth, and the client will be aware that they can contact the scheduling office when the unscheduled care is needed. And the scheduler will follow their process, which is in development, in being able to schedule that.
And finally, we do not have CHWs applying for casual postings. Will there be funding to create more positions?
Creation of positions is determined at the local site level, but we do have numerous initiatives to assist with CHW recruitment that are happening right now.
Okay. Talk a little bit about departments supporting transformation. There are many departments supporting the transformation, and they are illustrated on the pie pieces on this slide. There's home support contracts. They handle all the home support contracts and can be consulted for any questions you have around home support contracts. There's Procura and ESP. Procura is a scheduling software that will be used for scheduling clients, and CHWs will be scheduled in ESP by staffing services. Human Resources, Recruitment and Retention supports with the recruitment of community health workers. There is a newly created centralized external recruitment team that is involved with the recruitment and hiring of external CHW applicants. Clinical Operations. They are the local team that supports home support services. They include the team leader home support, the CHW, the scheduler, clinicians, CICCs, OKCs, and the managers. The Strategic Information Team is responsible for monitoring, reporting, and evaluation of home support data. Data provides us important information about our home support services. We are required to report specific data to the ministry, which supports funding and keeps us accountable. IMIT is the department that is behind all our electronic systems. And the Senior Specialized Care Transformation Team supports Ministry of Health policy implementation and standardization for home and community care. Home health and home support transformation are interconnected. This team is responsible for home and community care programs, strategy, planning, and standardization and innovation. We know that transformation is possible when all pieces of the pie work together. As we move forward, it is important to be clear on each other's roles and responsibilities and recognize that many, if not all, of the pie pieces are interdependent on one another. So now we'll talk a little bit about some of the current and future work that is happening to support overall transformation. There is the Procura implementation that's currently underway. It involves new scheduling software and standardizing scheduling practices. Some of the things involved in the implementation are scheduling hubs. Each area will have a localized hub that schedules for the entire geographic area. There will be a single 1-800 number for clients to be able to contact schedulers to call and change their service. And there will be increased efficiency in scheduling. There are standard operational reporting structures put in place. So org charts were created across Interior Health to standardize the reporting structure in home support. And with that, there was an alignment of the cost centers. There is also fixed shifts for CHWs. This was a retention strategy to provide consistent hours for our CHWs and to help move us to more flexibility in the supports we offer to clients. So there's ESP scheduling that will allow schedulers to focus on scheduling client care. And CHWs will be scheduled by staffing services. And CHWs will also be able to see their schedules in eyesight. There is also the Digital Transformation Project. With the Digital Transformation Project, there is going to be a redesign of the HSSA. We're looking to have the DOT forms and mobility and bathing forms be electronic, and also having more of these forms available to the CHWs on their mobile device. So the DOT forms, the mobility and bathing forms, as well as their issues and solutions document and their medication decision tree. And then, of course, authorizing service that is clinically needed to allow Interior Health to understand our demand.
A new CDST, or Clinical Decision Support Tool, called Authorization of Home Support Services, has been endorsed and is now live on the Inside Net. This CDST has been developed to enable the transformation work. It outlines the expectations for all staff that are involved in the assessment, authorization, scheduling, delivery, and monitoring of home support services. Defining the roles, scope, and functions of the members of the team allows us to understand where the gaps are, builds trust that each member of the team is doing their job, and that each person is the expert in their role. It also acknowledges that individuals need to understand the expectations of their role in order to help them perform to the best of their abilities. We're going to review the high-level aspects of the CDST in the next few slides. The program clinician is defined as the home health clinician that has clinical responsibility for provision of client care. So for example, OTs, PTs, and nursing, and or the authorization related to a specific home health service, such as home support. This person is part of the interdisciplinary team and may or may not be the MRC. Clinical responsibility for the client. So this includes things like they are responsible for the clinical assessment and care of the client. They're available to assess the client related to their clinical needs and client response to home support services. They're available to respond to clinical questions from the community health workers, and they maintain clinical responsibility for the care of the client throughout their involvement with the home support program, which includes reviewing and updating care needs. The program clinician also collaborates with the client and caregiver to identify specific client needs. They authorize all services that a client would benefit from, explain those services and the expectations around home support to the client and caregiver, and identify with the client and caregiver a backup plan. The program clinician also completes the HARP and the mobility and bathing assessments and does delegation of tasks for services where it's appropriate.
So the team leader home support. Our home support team leaders have not had a lot of consistency in how their role is utilized across Interior Health. Because they are clinicians, they have often been pulled from their supervisory duties to provide clinical care. A significant aspect of transforming home support is to enable the team leader home support to stay in their lane. Our CHWs need the support and leadership that they can provide, with an anticipated outcome that this will increase our retention. The team leader home support needs to be out in the field supporting CHWs, doing field visits, on-the-spot training, DOT teaching. They also deliver the CHW orientation, other education needs such as the competencies, like the medication competency. And we also, during the pandemic, some CHWs were redeployed to long-term care to help out in some sites that had COVID outbreaks. And we heard back from some of those CHWs that they really enjoyed that environment, largely because of the support that was available to them in that setting. So we know that it's really important that the team leaders for home support focus their attention on the CHWs and be out in the field with them to be able to provide that support. So the primary role for the home support team leader is to provide oversight and supervision of community health workers. So that includes reviewing the home support service authorization to determine if there are any education or support needs for the CHWs. This is not to find and correct errors that the program clinician may have made, but it's to look for any tasks or DOTs that may need teaching. The team leader home support is also responsible for supervision and support of CHWs throughout the client's involvement with the home support program. This includes supporting and answering task-based questions that the CHW may have. Any clinical questions should be directed to the program clinician. And then the team leader home support also does field visits as per the CDST for the field visits for each CHW. And the field visits are an opportunity to provide performance feedback and ensure that the service plans are being followed. The team leader for home support also coordinates and provides orientation, education, and training for CHWs. And they do not have clinical responsibility for the client. So a home visit at initiation of service would be to review expectations with the client and caregiver. This is not to provide the initial information that the clinician should be providing when they authorize the services, but rather a mechanism to reinforce this information and to clarify or answer any questions about home support that may have come up. It is also an opportunity to introduce their role to the client. And to support the role of the team leader home support, we are also working on revising the job description. The current job description includes scheduling duties as well as clinical duties. With the new scheduling hubs, schedulers will be able to manage all home support scheduling for clients and CHWs, and the program clinicians have the clinical responsibility for the client. The revised job description will focus on support and supervision of CHWs and no scheduling or clinical responsibilities. And then to support the revised job description, a CDST for the team leader home support is also being developed, and that CDST will be a more detailed document that further describes the role and responsibilities for the team leader home support.
The home support scheduler primary responsibility is that they are responsible for scheduling home support services as authorized by the program clinician. This includes entering any HSSA information that they need to into the scheduling software, which will be procured by the end of the summer. Making sure that they schedule as per the priority codes that have been identified by the program clinician, and they schedule CHWs that have the appropriate service requirements to meet the care needs of the client. The home support scheduler is also responsible for adding travel time to the client visit. This has been a change for some areas. This, again, supports the right people doing the right work. The clinician is responsible for determining how much time the CHW needs to spend with the client to provide the services. They have the knowledge about the client's abilities. But the schedulers know who they are scheduling and what travel time will be needed to go from visit to visit. The scheduler also communicates with clients and caregivers as needed. This is primarily to make changes to a scheduled visit, to cancel a visit, or to add a waitlisted visit to their care. Community health worker is responsible for delivering services authorized by the home health professional. They review the client's service plan and DOT care plan at every visit. They provide care according to the service plan and DOT standard procedures. They follow the issues and solutions document and the medication decision tree for reporting issues appropriately. Clinicians are contacted related to clinical issues for the client, and the home support team lead is contacted related to task issues. CHWs report any observed changes in client service needs or client conditions to the program clinician, and they document all the care that was provided or refused. CHWs attend the visits as per the schedule that was created by the home support scheduler, and they review and follow the HARP prior to each visit. Throughout the CDST, we embedded an expectation around cultural competency in our staff. Cultural competency is defined as the knowledge, skills, and ability to understand cross-cultural interactions and an awareness and acceptance of the dynamic variety of people and populations. Cultural safety is an outcome of cultural competency. It's defined and experienced by those clients and staff who are Aboriginal. They feel safe and valued. Cultural safety is based on understanding the power differentials and potential discriminations inherent in the health service delivery system. During all interactions with the client, caregivers, and IH staff, home health and home support staff will model the behaviors and actions that are consistent with a culturally safe workplace, including but not limited to respect, inclusiveness, self-reflection, self-awareness, and non-judgmental behavior. The hashtags at the top of the slide were provided to us by our Aboriginal team. Hashtag I feel safe, hashtag no more harm, hashtag self-determination.
Many of the documents that support transformation are located on either the Inside Net home support page or on our home health team site. And I'm going to share my desktop now to show you where to find them. On the Inside Net, under Clinical Care Resources, on the home health page, is our home support page, which is right in the middle. And here, under Standard Processes, is where you will find Authorization of Home Support Services, which is the clinical decision support tool that supports transformation and we have been discussing today. I encourage everyone to go in and have a read through the entire document, as it will provide you with direction around the roles and responsibilities of all members of the home support team. One of the other clinical decision support tools that we discussed today and is supporting transformation is our CHW field visit review standard process. As we move to make changes to our home support team leaders and their roles and responsibility, the CHW field visit review standard process supports them in that role. The other place that we will find documents that support transformation is on the home health team site, which most people should be familiar with. This is where we will find all of the orientation material for our nurses and allied health team members, as well as for our community health workers. And as we work towards creating standardized orientation for our schedulers and our home support team leaders, that orientation information will also be located on this team site. And to support the Procura implementation, we also have standard work that has been developed, and that is under the home support scheduling link at the top of the team site. There is standard work that will apply to all home support staff, just to schedulers, just to team leaders, or there may be standard work that is specific to your site, and that will be located here. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we shared many words that we would like our clients to be able to describe when they talk about home support. And these are the words that were shared during the presentations. We hope that this pictorial representation will resonate with all of you as well.
We wanted to review a few more of the questions that were asked during the live presentations. So the first question is, are there any plans to expand the type of services offered through home support, such as light housekeeping?
So light housekeeping is already a service that can be provided to clients. It can be a standalone service, but it is recommended to be attached to other services whenever possible.
So when and if we expand to overnight care, who will be on call for the community health workers?
There is currently an after-hours RN support program in Interior Health that provides clinical support for CHWs who work overnight shifts from 2300 to 0800. A manager on call is also available for non-clinical questions.
If we don't have community health worker capacity, how can we manage same-day services?
Transformation does not happen overnight, but the goal is to have the ability of all team members to be responsive to client needs. Recruitment strategies and understanding demand for service will guide decisions in future resource allocation.
Do you think there's going to be any consistency with workers? For example, the same worker for a block of time rather than someone different each day?
Procura includes a geographical scheduling process where a group of CHWs will be providing service in one geo area. And as a result, the client may not see the same worker every day, but a smaller group of workers over the course of time that they receive service.
We hope that this session has been beneficial for you and your teams in understanding home support transformation, the role and responsibilities of each member of the team, and what the future of home support will look like. But if you have any further questions, you're welcome to contact any of the following people. We thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this presentation.